and welcome to your Inner Journey weather forecast for the week of June 20th through June 26th, 2021. And I hope everyone has had a wonderful summer solstice, longest day of the year, first day of summer, when the yang energy is at its zenith in the northern hemisphere of the world. The energy is up. There's a warmer energy. There's a lively, vital energy in the air. And we have some very interesting, very dynamic transits going on this week. So in your intergenerational weather forecast, we look at the transits, astrological alignments, and how they show up in the collective and how they can show up in our inner growth, inner journeys, psychedelic journeys, meditation journeys, and in our spiritual growth this week. So let's have a look at Archetypal Explorer here. So there's been a lot of talk in the astrological community this week about the alignment of Mars with Saturn and Uranus. And the talk oftentimes goes in a kind of a gloomy direction, or not necessarily gloomy, but doomy direction, or kind of preparing people for something that feels kind of dangerous. And to some extent, that's warranted, but that's only half the story. So we're looking at Archetypal Explorer here, and we can see all three transits. We can see there's what's called a T-square between Mars, Saturn, and Uranus. Mars is opposite Saturn, and Uranus is square to both Saturn and Mars. So this is the Saturn square Uranus. This is the Mars opposite Saturn, and this is the Mars square Uranus. So it's all this week into next week. Very dynamic transit, because Uranus has to do with freedom, excitement, but also disruptiveness. And Saturn has to do with, on its positive end, things like discipline and self-mastery and inner authority, but on its challenging end, the heavy reality checks of life. And so if we have, and then Mars heats it up and makes it active, makes it really very active in this current moment in time. It kind of brings an abrupt energy there, vitalizing energy, catalyzing energy. And that can be, that can bring in a kind of a forceful energy. If the energy is manifesting on the challenging side of Uranus, the challenging side of Saturn, challenging side of Uranus, disruptiveness, challenging side of Saturn, these grave reality checks, challenging side of Mars, they're abrupt, they're in your face. And so, yes, it's possible. I have a friend who experienced a tragic loss through a tragic accident, and that's very much the Mars, Saturn, Uranus. The Saturn has to do with endings, loss. Uranus is the unexpectedness of it, and Mars is that punch, is that kind of abrupt energy. We, in my own family, we experienced a tragic loss as well. So that side of the reality, that side of the transits and the alignment is real. It's real, but it's not the full story, particularly in our spiritual practice this week, psychedelic journeys, inward exploration, spiritual evolution and growth, because these transits are always here to draw the growth out of us, to draw the spiritual evolution out of us. And what does that look like? It looks like there is, like we talked about, the challenging side of Mars, Saturn, and Uranus. Mars is like a forceful energy, which can feel very abrupt, and Uranus can feel disruptive, unexpected, and then Saturn can be the grave reality checks. There's another side of the spectrum though as well. Saturn has to do with kind of perseverance, inner authority, a calm mastery, a sense of sobriety, maturity. Uranus has to do with freedom, the excitement, and then Mars has to do with bravery and assertiveness. And so equally, it's a time for us to tap inside ourselves into a place where we have a brave, assertive energy that is willing to stand up to any external challenge, any external reality, with a sense of maturity, a sense of persistence, and a drive towards freedom. I was given a reading recently in which this was very salient in the transits of this individual. And really the task at hand was a task of tapping into a bravery to fight for one's own freedom with a Saturnian backbone, a Saturnian sense of persistence, a Saturnian sense of inner authority. tap into my inner authority, I go towards this sense of, I tap into my inner authority and I go towards this sense of a freedom fighter on behalf of myself or on behalf of others. And that's actually a very empowering aspect of this transit. That's a very powering kind of ask of this transit. This transit is asking for that from us. And of course, it depends on where it's landing in your birth chart, where it's landing in, what planets it's landing on. If it's landing on Venus, it's going to have a different feel. And if it's landing on the moon, if it's landing on your natal sun, if it's landing on your natal Mercury, if it's landing on your natal Jupiter. So for that, you can reach out to me and schedule reading, and we can look at that. In the interim, just know that this is a dynamic time. It's not a time to sit around. It's a time for it's an active time, and it's a great potential for tapping into a new side of ourselves, a change, a sudden a shift in gear within us towards more inner authority, towards more inner bravery, and things like that. So those are the real active energies this week. They go into next week. Be with us for a while. As we can see, the energy is rising here. So I wish you all the best in your spiritual evolution, your growth potential of tapping into yourself, standing by your own side, being a freedom fighter for yourself, being on your own side and fighting for your own principles, and growing as a being. And I wish us all happiness and peace. And I look forward to checking in with you next week. Feel free to make your questions in the comments section, and maybe we'll get a chance to answer them next week. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.